So a few days ago on June 5th, I uploaded a video known as December's Judgment Day Ban, where I featured Badwer and we discussed him getting potentially false banned by GCheat on Judgment Day. Now, after I posted this video, I immediately started to get a wave of comments calling me biased in favor of GCheat over a person's personal story. And in this video, I am going to be explaining why I trust GCheat so much over someone's personal story, and why all of these, oh, well, GCheat false ban my friend, and therefore it's all wrong, statements are completely erroneous, and they have no merit in reality. Well, to start off, we'll start by establishing how GCheat and Judgment Day actually work. I am, of course, not going to go into detail about specific aspects of the plugin, but I will reiterate to the general public the general concepts that already exist in the public domain. GCheat is an anti-cheat that works like any other. It tries to find patterns that would indicate a cheating player and then compares them to a non-cheating player. NoCheat Plus works kind of like this. AAC kind of works like this. GCheat, of course, it's a little bit different. It's a bit more complicated. Of course, not going to go into details, but it's the same general concept of most anti-cheats. Now, if the plugin finds the player to be cheating, it will execute a command through the console and ban them. That's why it says, GCheat hacked client, GCheat autoclicker, triggerbot, whatever, unfair advantage, right? And that is because the console has found the player to be setting off certain signatures that would indicate that they are cheating. Now, every few months, GCheat will receive a silent update. And now what that is they will update their internal checks, which are the things that look for patterns, I guess you could say, in the anti-cheat. And essentially how that works is they will update it, but they won't tell anyone. And anyone who flags these new checks will not be banned. They just won't be banned until one day, a few months later, called Judgment Day. And on Judgment Day, they will try and ban all of the players who have flagged these silent checks all this time and not gotten banned. Now, Judgment Day, it's, some people argue against it. I'm personally for it. It's a lot of fun, and I always look forward to it. So that's the main reason I really enjoy it. So yeah, let's begin this by looking at some comments and trying to establish what the characteristics of the classic counter-arguments to this is. And we will look at some of the counter-arguments against their counter-arguments. Okay, so to begin with this comment, my position in the video was as follows. Premise 1, GCheat is statistically unlikely to false ban. Premise 2, GCheat does not false ban a lot. His response was, in this comment, GCheat makes false ban, and he backs it up by saying it has bugs, just like any other program or plugin. Then for the rest of the comment, he talks about some facts that I brought up in the video, which do not matter, and they don't mean anything. He brought up the fact about the F3A spamming, which, once again, I do not believe that to be evidence in favor of him hacking. I said it's kind of odd. If you actually watch the video, it's kind of odd that he was doing that, okay? So overall, his argument is premise A, GCheat has bugs, premise B, GCheat false bans. Now, this line of reasoning is actually committing a fallacy known as begging the question. Now, if you swap the conclusion and premise A, you will still get to the same general conclusion. For example, if you say premise A, GCheat false bans, then you can arrive at the conclusion, GCheat has bugs. Because it would not have bugs unless it false banned. And what that is doing is you're begging the question, and it only begs the question, does GCheat false ban? So this is no evidence. Just asserting that GCheat has bugs or GCheat false bans does not work as evidence that GCheat actually false bans. Now, I also saw a few comments where the person was trying to argue that GCheat is not perfect, therefore it false bans. And this is unfortunately committing the same erroneous type of reasoning, begging the question. So your first premise would be GCheat is not perfect. Now your conclusion would be GCheat false bans. Now you could also swap the conclusion and premise. Premise 1, GCheat false bans. Premise 2, or conclusion, GCheat is erroneous. So that is also committing the fallacy of begging the question. Now to go to this guy's comment. This guy's argument boils down to premise A, I got falsely banned by GCheat. Premise B, it is possible he is legit. Conclusion, GCheat is not reliable. Now, what you can do is you can take the conclusion of that and set it up as the premise. GCheat is not reliable, therefore, it is possible that he is legit, and it is possible that he has gotten falsely banned by GCheat. As you can see, that this is now committing the exact same fallacy that we've described earlier, which is begging the question. So I'm pretty much finished with looking at comments and pointing out why they're logically fallacious, and we will go to the actual statistical analysis of why I believe that GCheat is more accurate than people's anecdotal stories. Now, the counter-argument to my form of reasoning will probably be something along the lines of, well, GCheat false bans because, X famous player has been false banned, and Archibot or, GBerry has admitted that it does false ban. Now, the problem with this is that this does not constitute GCheat false banning all of the time. See, what it is it's an isolated incident. If it happens once, it doesn't happen all the time. Now, yes, I agree that GCheat is not perfect. Of course it's not. But it is hell of a lot more accurate than a moderator on any server or at detecting ghost clients. It's very accurate at detecting ghost clients. I can vouch for that. I know it is. I was detected by it. Now, it does false ban, but statistically, it is likely not to. Now, how statistically likely is it not to false ban? We'll take a look at that in a second. Alright, so in order to statistically estimate how likely it is for GCheat to false ban you have to take the number of times GCheat has false banned and divide it by the number of times GCheat has banned, and you'll get a percentage. Now, in order to find the amount of people GCheat has false banned, we'll start off by looking at these YouTubers who claim to have the false banned by GCheat. Glory Blade, Stimpy, who else? DJ Thread. Let's say they're all legit. Let's say all of these players are legit. Let's say none of them have gotten false banned. It only adds up to around 10 people. Now you have 10 out of 418,133. But recently, in Judgment Day V7, Archibot has admitted that one of his checks was erroneous, and he unbanned 1,000 players. Now you have 1,010 players out of 418,133. Now, let's be extremely generous. And someone's counter-argument will be, well, the people who aren't famous won't get unbanned, but they never got unbanned, even if they were famous. The only guy who actually got unbanned was actually Glory Blade, I think. It was Glory Blade, because he was probably not cheating. Everyone else was. But let's just say they're all legit, right? So that argument doesn't work. Now, let's be extremely generous and say that in total, 10,000 players, a lot of players, have been false banned. Okay? That is extremely generous. Probably a lot lower than that. If you do the math, it will come out to 0.02. And converting that into a decimal, or a percentage point, it will come out to 2%. There's a 2% chance, with using this extremely generous estimate, that someone has been false banned by GCheat. So there's a 98% chance that GCheat has banned you correctly. Now, on top of this, if you were watching Archibot's stream, before the Judgment Day, he said that he was going to change the thresholds on the checks. And what that will do, it will make it so you have to set off more in order to get banned on Judgment Day than you would usually have to. This makes it even less likely that December is legit. So even ascribing the percentage to this very generous estimate, I still have a 98% chance of being correct and he actually being a cheater. So anyways, yeah, so I mean 98%, that's a pretty high percentage in my opinion. If you have that type of percentage on the lottery, you'd be playing all the time. So I mean that's really high. So basically, December is more than likely a cheater. He could be legit, but I am more likely to be correct by saying he is. So yeah, that's pretty much the conclusion to this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this new format. I was trying something a little bit different, kind of like earlier I used to do like these kind of like unscripted, kind of like improv videos, and where I show one screen, but now I'm trying to put a little bit more effort into it, kind of like my Inspector Tene series, what I did with like such feed, kind of. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys later. Peace out. So even using this very generous estimate, I'm still 98%
Thank you,
likely.
2K16.